Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is Hejin Lee with a morning update for Bitcoin. I'm doing this a little more earlier than usual. I've got a very busy Saturday already lined up, so I need to get going on this a little earlier than usual. Overnight price actions pretty much almost did what we wanted, what we were expecting or projecting. So again, I'm going to start off with the Coinbase chart. Surgically remove these. I had been counting 5 waves here last night. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So let's drill down into 30 minutes. So what could be going on here? So if we have 1, 2, 3, this was clearly a triangle. Right here. The beautiful thing about cryptos is they adhere very well to the basics of Elliott waves. Now comparing that to stocks, it's very different. Stocks are very heavily manipulated. Manipulators are what? From the PPT to the central banks to anyone with a big wallet, front runners like all the banks. They manipulate it. So the waves get bent, stretched. And so for Elliott wave technicians to count and project stocks is that much more difficult. Thus they become more wrong in their projections than right quite often. Equities, the stocks are very difficult to project using Elliott waves because of the heavy degree of manipulation. It doesn't change the destination, but it changes the path of the waves to the destination. In fact, it creates more variations of the path to the destination. And that's what the Elliott wave guys, I think, quite often forget. They're so buried into making the count accurate, they lose the forest. The destination is the same thing. And they feel terrible if their primary count didn't execute and the price didn't follow. And that's silly. You really have to get the destination, the pathway, correct, more than the counts. So here we have 1, 2, 3, wave 4. It's a triangle, very nice alternation. You have an ABC here, and then you have ABCD, ABC, triangle. So you get simple to complex. And then from here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave 5. This triangle So let me give you, here's an example. I've always consistently usually said that triangles would have A, B, C, D, E, right? And it doesn't necessarily have to be A, B, C, D, E. And this is a triangle that's giving you that example. So you might be thinking, how does that work? What I had thought earlier as an alternation could actually be not really an alternation, where in fact wave 4 is here. Like that. Okay, so this is the ABC for wave 4. And then what you're seeing, subwave of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For subwaves of the fifth wave. This. Do you see it? And the fact that I'm now from a chart pattern point of view, chart patterns don't care about Elliott waves. Elliott waves don't really care that much about chart patterns. And having just said that, if I draw a line for the chart pattern here, the triangle, this triangle pattern doesn't care whether it's an ABCDE or if it's an ABC4 and it includes the 1, 2, and part of the wave 3 of 5. Do you see what I'm saying? In other words, chart patterns don't necessarily always abide by the Elliott waves. They don't always commingle like this into an ABCDE Elliott wave triangle. A triangle could be a non-Elliott wave based triangle. That's the bottom line. That's the message I'm trying to give in today's take home. And you may see this. And I do at times see this. So when I do triangle, don't make the mistake of, oh, if I can't count ABCDE, something is wrong. Nope. If you can't count ABCDE, then there's a different Elliott wave count that can still abide. Just like here, ABC for 4, and here's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can still say this is a triangle. It's just not an Elliott wave triangle, but still a valid triangle. And this triangle broke up. Now, here's a difference in being able to use this triangle to project price pathway and this triangle to project price pathway. Let's go to this. If you have A, B, C, D, E, and the E is sitting on the lower line of the triangle, then there's a greater propensity for price to break upwards. Now, this doesn't have A, B, C, D, E, so how do you know the propensity of which way to go? This is where the combination of Elliott wave and the symmetrical triangle becomes very powerful. By itself, in that second book for stock trends that I recommend, at least in my 7th edition, I haven't even read the 10th, I don't even have the 10th edition. They may have added different explanation, but in the edition that I have, the McGee book, they explain symmetrical triangle as a point of indecision. And what they say is it can go up or it can go down. Gee, thanks a lot. How helpful is that? And this is with using just the chart pattern. So you almost have to wait until something happens, goes up or down, breaks up or breaks down. But when you combine Elliott waves, I draw my line, I'm seeing a triangle, but I'm not seeing an A, B, C, D, E. Okay? So that means price can come back down. You can do A, B, C, D, E. You could expect one more down. However, when you can count Elliott waves as A, B, C for 4, and this as 1, 2, and 3, then you see the direction a lot more clearly. So that, to me, is, again, one of the reasons why that led me to combine the two. Back in 1997, I only tried to do it with chart patterns, and I failed miserably. Made a lot of mistakes. I learned a lot. And then a few years later, about 3.5 years later, I found Elliott waves. And then I tried to trade using just Elliott waves. Failed miserably. And then I combined the two. Consistently combined the two. And in that 3.5 years, I practiced recognizing chart patterns, and practice makes better, not perfect. I don't believe in perfect. So here, clearly, the next question is this the end of the 5? Is this where 5 is finishing? And then we're going to see a small minor correction. Well, it could be. So this is where you try to narrow down your probabilities from your possibilities. So you can say, is this 4? And then we're going to see higher 5. And is instead of this 5, is this a 3? Like this. Possible. And then the subwaves of 3 could label like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this certainly looks like it, because you have an ABC 3-wave. You can tell this is very 3-wave-ish. And then you have ABC, which is slightly higher than this peak. Or more yet, if we bring this back here, what kind of correction do you think that can be? Get a bit of an expanded flat. And I'm leaning towards this expanded flat. I think we've hit the 5, minor 5. And we're going to do a minor correction. And then we can count 5 waves down. And it'll probably reach to where prior wave 4 was. Somewhere around 10.4, 10.5. But whether it happens this way or further high and then corrects, it really doesn't matter. The reason is because we're still going to 13.418. Looks really messy with all the subwaves. Have to move it to the right because time has elapsed. Time, I wrote an essay on time. I hope you enjoyed that. My essay on time was based on a long time of thought experiments. And I think it's almost foolhardy to try and project the time and pattern at the same time, simultaneously. Because, as I've consistently said, price is the most direct reflection of sentiment. And if that's the case, it is more direct and occurs earlier than news, events, or fundamentals. News, events, and fundamentals also reflect sentiment, but not as early as price. Since price is the earliest reflection of sentiment, and if you project and forecast using price, that is when you can confidently say news or events, which are later reflections of sentiment, will arrive to justify the forecast. It's really a sequential event if you want to look at it that way. First comes price in the order of timing of reflection of sentiment. Price is first, then news, events, and fundamentals. And I think news, events are about the same timing, and the fundamentals are the latest reflection of sentiment. And if anyone disagrees with that, I'd like them to see and show me examples of how news and events are earlier reflections of sentiment than price. If price is a reflection of sentiment, I'm pretty sure that time is not. Time is not a reflection of sentiment. If it was, you would be able to utilize a similar technique like this to get as great of an accuracy in projection. Many, better than myself, in technical analysis have made phenomenal efforts to try to tame time from a projection point of view, and all have failed miserably. Their record of accuracy is far less than 50%. The reason is they're trying to combine the same technique, which measures the reflection of sentiment, and they apply it correctly for price, but it is not applicable for time, because time is not a reflection of sentiment. So there needs to be a different technique. And I'm thinking about what that technique is. I am thought experimenting. A few ideas, but nothing really solid yet. So you need two different methods. One from the basis of price, which is a reflection of sentiment. One from the basis of time, which is not. You need two different methods because you have two different things interacting. Price is certainly interacting with time, but you need two different tools. One to measure price, one to measure time. And what that ideal tool might be to measure time, I don't know yet. A few ideas, but I will keep thought experimenting. So if you haven't read that essay, it's in my blog from yesterday, or the day before rather. It might be a good read. Also, price and sentiment is a quantum event. Time is not. Again, another dramatic difference. So when you try to use the same technique to measure simultaneously time and price, you've got apples to oranges. And that's why, for now, technical analysts should be more and far more concerned about accurate projection of price instead of time. The return on investment of accurate projection of price is far higher than accurate projection of time. I hope that makes sense to you. I think a little differently, obviously. So here is the other way of counting. The only thing that I'm seeing here as an alternate, a bearish alternate, is that this ABC is just getting started. That's the only bearish alternate that I would have. And if this happens, this would meet the hurry up and wait time frame. I'm not projecting time, just hurry up and wait syndrome. That the correction takes a lot longer than a flash in a pan, a lightning in a pan, 1, 2, 3. So that's been kind of bothering me a little bit. This correction is too quick. Even if Bitcoin doesn't have the hurry up and wait syndrome as badly as the altcoins, that's pretty quick. So let's see what happens if this comes out to be the pathway. Then we can potentially have to relabel all of this because this 4 cannot overlap. Well, it wouldn't overlap still, but if it overlaps with this, we'll have to relabel it. But would I be panicking if this happened? Nope. Because I am aware of the other combinations. This could be a triangle. A, B, C, D, E. So I'm just going to follow the price. My projection is no different. Now I've had a good number of Steamian and YouTubers getting coaching sessions, and I got one person send me back, I think it was last night, I'll say the NAMI, damn good job after a session of labeling. Very impressed. He sent back his attempt of wave labeling of a very complex combination correction on Bitcoin Cash. It was very impressive. Job well done. And for those of you who are interested, it'll only take just a few sessions to really get you on the pathway to start becoming an independent Elliottician. Sooner or later, those of you who acquire proficiency will be arguing with me, which is good. Will be arguing with me not only on the count, not only on the pattern, but also on the price discernment forward pathway. And that'll be great. That is really the level of interaction that'll be pretty awesome, in my opinion. My week is already pretty full. But if you have interest in getting some coaching, please let me know by my email. And we can see if we can fit something in on that. We primarily cover three things, and this is what I do with any other client. Portfolio analysis, coaching on the mechanics of Elliott waves and chart patterns, and then Q&A, where you can also bring any custom analysis request and we can do it together, and everything is Skype based. Everything is Skype based. So that means we can share this chart screen between the two of us back and forth, and we can do the counting. So let me know if you have some interest in this. If this can help, I'll be happy to see if I can arrange something. All right, that's the morning update. If anything significant happens, like something like this today, I'll send out a midday update meanwhile. Otherwise, I'll talk to you again tonight. Have a good Saturday.